people, and today we're breaking down film on Zeke Biggers, Miami Dolphins 7th round defensive tackle. And I think he really got to flash his potential in this game with some of the plays that he made. There's still definitely those inconsistencies that he has that makes me still feel like he's more of a project and maybe just like a potential, like I'm still leaning towards practice squad with him, just, based on the rest of the roster and what they're looking at. But man, he is a explosive linear athlete, can create some movement back there. I like him better athletically when he's going vertical and can be linear. Use that length to his advantage. I think he's more of that penetrating style, showing some hustle out here as well, which is nice to see. But there's definitely nice tools and traits to work with. I think one thing that excited me most was his ability when he was aligned as like a 5 tech, because all the D linemen they drafted all kind of have different skill sets and different alignment. A lot of them played like that 1 tech in college. But I think Zeke looked better here playing as that 5 tech. Phillips in that no/1 tech. Grant looking better in like that 3 tech area. And, having a bunch of players that look better at different sort of techniques can be very valuable to the team. And that's what I like to see from him, because I think the Dolphins do need more 5 tech help. I think him versus like Dickerson is an interesting battle at this point. I think I'm leaning towards Dickerson because he looks a little more pro ready in terms of like he could actually play. Well, I think Zeke is more of a thing that can develop down the line next year. But there's some real nice tools to like. Here he is holding his own at the point of attack. Also, leave a like, comment on the video, all that good stuff. Help out with the algorithm. Here he is holding his own at the point of attack, doing a good job using that length. Tosses this guy aside. I do think he plays a little better when he's more 1 gapping, but he can do the 2 gap stuff too. Control, still get around and help make that tackle with the rest of his teammates. Also, great play from Dickerson on the backside there to bully. But yeah, Zeke Biggers can really hold his own, and I think I really want to see more from him in terms of like, can he elevate himself to that roster spot? But still think it's to be seen at this point. But yeah, there's definitely things to like. Here's another example of him stacking, shedding, number 75 lift up, doing this from the 5 tech spot. I think it just gives him a little more space to work with on the outside as well, because he's a taller player. That's why like when he played a lot of like 0 to 2i, being a taller player I think would hurt you because you need to have that more natural pad level leverage. Here he gets to go against more tackles that are typically taller, and it just I think is a better matchup for him, and he can do those types of things, help make that tackle near the line of scrimmage. Great play. Here he is left unblocked to get up the middle. Like he fires off the ball here, and this guard's supposed to get out to him, gets out too late. I think they have a miscommunication. So he gets up the field unblocked, and look what he does to this poor running back. Just absolute destroys him in the back end, which is nice to see. So yeah, lots of flashes. I still think, he's trying to get a better, I would say, feel for the game, instincts-wise, play with more consistent technique with like pad level, hand usage, base can all get cleaned up as well, which will, I think, those are things that can be worked upon and you can get better on. You can't really, teach the size and some of the athletic ability that he has. So that's very nice. Here's where you see that maybe the pass rush stuff don't work out. He is a 2i, which is not the best spot to be in for defensive tackle pass rushing. But when that initial move doesn't work, I think, he can struggle to create that speed to power. He allows the offensive lineman to just get hands into chest too. He does go for like that club, and it just didn't work. I think he's got to get upfield more vertically, and that's kind of usually how he wins with like that initial quickness. It just didn't work in that type of situation. This play wanted to show, even though it's just field goal, just look at him, 93. Look at him get up. Like he doesn't block it here, but look at him compared to everyone else. He blocked 4 kicks in college. This is what could actually give him a chance of making the team. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe starts out the year on practice squad and then gets elevated with like maybe an injury happening, and then he stays on the team the whole year, and then they bring him in certain games to play special teams to potentially block some kicks, because he was getting up on those kicks, and that will lead to potential blocks. And I think that's an underrated sort of part of his game that could really, I think, actually probably gives him the best chance of making the roster right now. Here at 2i, good recognition skills. I think, recognizing some screens, he did a decent enough job in this game. This is a good one. Feel for this. I think there was another play he didn't recognize it, so when I see him respond, feel, boom, chase out in space, go out there and make a tackle on the receiver down the field. Very, very impressed with that. Another rep of him aligned inside in that 1 tech. You can see he kind of takes himself out of the play, but the burst upfield, the penetration ability hitting that arm over. He hits the club arm over pretty effectively. He is very comfortable doing this type of play, giving me like, wearing that 93 little Calais. I mean, he's not Calais Campbell's a different, a much different level of player, but they are sort of that like taller, longer type of D tackle. And this is like, winning with some penetration skills. You can see how that could translate in a different type of play. Here he kind of takes himself out of the play. It didn't really matter because they still stopped the run at the line, but just something to keep note of. Just like getting upfield, uh, like I said again, from 5 tech, he shoots up the field. He's able to penetrate, works a little too far past the QB. He's not really going to be a bendy guy. He's able to spin out of it, show some hustle, gets a little bit of a late hit there on the QB. McClendon's actually the one who gets called for it, but at least showing off some hustle there. Want to see him, win with his pass rush a little more consistently. It's just, certain small parts of his game that I have question marks right now. Like, obviously, Grant, I'm expecting to be like a guy that plays a ton of snaps. I think Jordan Phillips is a guy that can be a part of the rotation early on. I just don't know if I'm like, you can see the flash potentials with Zeke. I think I'm more just leaning towards probably practice squad early on. They probably believe they can keep him. He was like, I think like one of the 5 final picks in the draft, so it's close to UDFA level. So they're probably thinking he doesn't get claimed, keep him around. That's sort of my guess as of now, but a lot can change in a couple of weeks. Here he makes a tackle, but I think he can struggle a little bit laterally right now, which is an area I have concern. That's like, that's why maybe another reason I don't love him on the inside, because you do have to work a ton laterally to both sides. Here, being on the backside of a run is like a 3 tech. He does get cut off pretty easily. Like, I don't think he has the greatest lateral athleticism. He is able to work through it and help make the tackle, but it is like 5 yards downfield, which is not ideal. So that's an area I think he could potentially improve upon. But you can still see like this play doesn't matter because it's play action boot. But like when he's able to get upfield, he gets a little bit of space to work with. Like this guy moves really, really well. I think on that more vertical plane, that more linear athleticism. I feel like he can really make some penetrational skills there. It doesn't matter in those situations, but we're trying to look at the traits, and every play you can sometimes find something, even if like the result of the play, they're not even really involved with it. That's why like I'm looking at process in preseason with a lot of these guys, and like you'll see some of the other players that like I actually think like I'm gonna get to some of them that had like really productive days results wise. I still have some question marks about the process of how it would translate to against better talent, and do they have the traits to hold up similarly to how you look at college prospects. And we'll get to those guys uh, shortly after this actually, so I'll give you my full thoughts. But I think from Zeke, I'm feeling pretty, for a 7th round pick, I'm feeling pretty decent about his performance. Definitely the flashes are there, and I think what really excites me is the potential playing on a little bit of a wider alignment in that more 4-eye to 5 tech area for the defensive tackles, because a lot of the guys they have, like, other than, like, Sealer is the one that can play pretty much anywhere, but other than that, like, you probably more guys that are gonna thrive in 1 to 3 tech roles, like Benito and Jordan Phillips and even Kenneth Grant, who can I still think do some 5 tech stuff, but it's not like his main go-to. So having just more bodies there, and I think, Dickerson's another one that can also do some of that stuff, so I think those 2 are kind of having a battle right now, at this point, especially after that preseason week 1 game, so those would be the guys to keep an eye on. So if you guys are doing that, comment, subscribe to the